How was your dinner? So Rob's Catering did a good job then for you. Before we begin giving awards out, I have a special speaker. He was our first Enrique winner at the Watertown Lodge, Jacob Wrights. Would you please come up?
I have to hold this. Yep. Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jake. I'm from Watertown. Been at Watertown for about 10 years. Is this better? Oh, yeah, I can hear it now. 4 of those years, while I've been at Watertown, I was down at the Jefferson County Drug Task Force, working with a lot of these people over at the table over there. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I didn't expect this many people here, and I'm a little thrown off. But I do see Kleist got some time away from his Only Hands account, and he must have been between a rock and a hard place to just be here right now. But honestly, I just want to thank Chris and the Elks for putting this all together and putting this together through the years. Thank you guys for that and for dinner tonight. They do say police work is a thankless job, but events like this help remind us why we do what we do. I promised to talk about the drug problem. I've been out of drug work for about 2 years now, but it's still near and dear to me. I still have the camaraderie with everyone back at the task force. But I'll start with this. They're still here. There were 107,000 drug-related overdose deaths last year. There was a 33% decrease in heroin overdose deaths, about a 22% increase in cocaine deaths, and a 33% increase in meth deaths, which points towards fentanyl being present in pretty much all of our drugs these days. And to summarize like how fentanyl has become that problem where it's being cut into all of our drugs, the Mexican drug cartels are bringing precursors in from China and cutting it into everyday drugs for drug users. So people that were using just cocaine are now using cocaine laced with fentanyl. People that are using meth are now using meth laced with fentanyl, and so on and so forth, all the way to weed laced with fentanyl. So it's killing a lot of people that aren't suspecting fentanyl to be in their drugs. Having good community resources like the Elks here with their drug outreach program, as well as the Jefferson County Drug-Free Coalition that Ben Miller and Ryan Wagner are part of, really do help curb overdose deaths. The Jefferson County Drug-Free Coalition provides fentanyl test strips for people to test their drugs. They provide Narcan to the end user, technically free of charge. Obviously there is a charge to everything, but it does save lives in that way. And if you take a look, you can tell that Ben Miller's probably transitioning out. He looks a lot different than what he did a year ago. He cut his hair, and we're all very disappointed. But those programs understand that we're never going to be able to completely rid ourselves of the drug problem. The drugs are always going to be available as long as there's a user there. And understanding that and trying to figure out how you can tackle that problem is really helpful with that kind of proactive way of thinking that the Drug-Free Coalition has, as well as drug task force that understands that problem as well. We're never going to be able to completely eradicate drugs in our community, but we can definitely make it extremely difficult for them to set up shop in our communities. So having a good, strong drug task force is one of those steps to curbing the usage in your community, or curbing the availability. And we have that at Jefferson County, led by Mindy Rue. She's been at the task force for 20 plus years now. She's trained every single task force officer that has come through that unit. She trained me. Some people picked up on her training and some didn't. That brings me to Dan. Dan took over the task force in my last 6 months of my rotation back in 2019. And yeah, Dan he's different. When he got down there, he started calling me tough guy all the time. I thought he wanted to fight me. He always asked me what I knew, and I felt like I should know something, but I really didn't, and that's just the way he starts every conversation, I realized. So it took me a little bit to realize how Dan operates and works. Dan, you annoyed the hell out of me in my last 6 months. I was kind of where Ben's at now. He's leaving the task force, and my mindset was like, I got to wrap up my cases, I got to be done. And then Dan's like an Energizer bunny. He can't stop working, and he can't let you stop working either. So you need to be a part of everything he's doing. But the task force is way better for that. Dan knows how to push his people, and he constantly wants more. It doesn't matter how much you get. You could find 2 kilos, he'd want 4 kilos. You could find 100 grand, he'd want 200 grand. And ultimately, that's the best thing for the task force, is that desire to always do better, that we can do more, and we can be effective, and we can really help our community. So tough guy, even though you annoyed me, I just want to let you know that I do appreciate you, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay. It's funny, we have 3 past winners in the room, plus the new winner of the Enrique. That's kind of neat. Before we go on to the Enrique Award, would Dave DeCono come up and give the Firefighter Award?
Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, thanks, Christy, for letting me do this. I've been on the fire department up in Clyman. Now it's CLR, Clyman Lowell Reeseville. And this award I'm going to be giving out is to a firefighter that I've known since I've been on this department, and a first responder. Dan Finger, over here, has been on the fire department, 44 years. And the first responders, because we are mutual first responders up there. He's been a first responder since we were formed in '89, so he's been a 34-year veteran of our first responder group up there. As you said, this is an award that we send out to Dodge and Jefferson County. This is kind of where we're based in the center of these 2 areas. And I send it out to all the fire chiefs in both counties. They can nominate anybody. We've been very fortunate up in Clyman, the area we have a very active chief and active department up there, that we have people that can come and get nominated for this stuff. So again, Dan, that's a pleasure for me to give you this award. It's a certificate of appreciation. The following award is given to firefighter, first responder, Dan Finger. This certificate is given October 23rd, 2023 to a firefighter, Daniel Finger, for his heroic actions in the field from the Watertown and Beaver Dam Elks Lodge, 666. Congratulations, Dan. I know he's not really in for words, but do you want to say anything at all?
Well, just thank my wife and that for volunteer service. We all know it takes a lot. We don't really. I've been retired for 7 years now, and now I didn't realize this was a full-time job for myself. For the runs and stuff we go, and with my wife and everything else, I'd like to thank her and everybody else out there, because hey, we get up in the middle of a Thanksgiving dinner, 2 o'clock in the morning, and try to help save whatever we have to do to make the world right, and that's what you people are here too, is to make the world right. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Dave. Congratulations. Before I go on, I want to tell you a little about what the Enrique Camarena Award is about, because some people ask me who is Enrique Camarena? Enrique Camarena was an 11-year veteran agent of the DEA. He was kidnapped, brutally tortured, and then murdered by the Mexican drug cartel in 1985. He was a loving husband and father of 3 children. His death has inspired millions of Americans to lead a drug-free life, and the Elks celebrate his commitment to this effort with this annual award. October is traditionally Red Ribbon Month. On your tables, you will see red ribbons. Please keep them as a remembrance of what this honor means. It is a time where people wear the red ribbon to commemorate Agent Camarena's sacrifice. The millions who wear these ribbons visibly take a stand to say, we are opposed to illicit drugs. We take a stand against legalization efforts, and we commemorate all of the individuals who have been tragically affected by the results of use and abuse. Each year, the Benevolent and Protective Order of the Elks, through the Drug Awareness Program, present the Enrique S. Camarena Award to a member of the law enforcement community who best exemplifies the qualities and principles for which Agent Camarena gave his life. This year, our local lodge award will be going to a Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. Would Sheriff Paul Milbreth please come up and tell us a little bit why you nominated him?
So first off, I'm not Sheriff Paul Milbrath, but this man over here is.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm Don Hunter. I'm the Chief Deputy with Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. I've had the privilege of working for the Sheriff's Office for the last 32 and a half years in various different capacities. One of those capacities was back in 1998 through about 2001, I was part of the Jefferson County Drug Task Force under the direction of Detective Sergeant Paul Milbrath. I can tell you drugs have changed a lot since that time. We were doing a lot of eradication of marijuana. We had a lot of cease grants and things that we were doing at that time, and fentanyl was really not heard of. Cocaine was heard of, marijuana, there was some acid and things like that, but nothing compared to the scourge that our communities and our country are facing today. Battling drugs is a hard thing to do. Obviously, it's a dangerous thing to do, as we recognize through the sacrifices of Enrique Camarena. When Jake was talking about Dan being an Energizer bunny, he was not kidding. And if you ask Dan, there's been many times when I've said, you know, you really need to just go home and be with your family and do things there. So, and on that note, it's nice that Dan's parents are able to be with him tonight to help celebrate. His wife Kay and his daughter Caitlin are here to help celebrate. And I do promise you, Kay, I told Dan over and over, go home, call it a day, just go home. But Dan is very driven. And when Dan was promoted to Detective Sergeant in 2019, the Sheriff's Office had a very large turnover. We had 3 new captains that were brought on board. I was one of those captains. And Dan was, I was, before that, the Detective Sergeant for the General Detective Division, and Dan was one of the detectives that I supervised. Dan learned a lot over the years and really blossomed into a very exceptional detective, especially when it came to interviewing, talking to people, and getting people to loosen their lips. When the position came available at the Drug Task Force, and Dan was selected to fulfill it, I think he was as surprised as other people because he had no experience in either the Drug Task Force or, as far as I know, drugs in general. But he quickly learned on that, and not only had to learn to be a supervisor as a detective sergeant, but had to learn everything there is to deal with drugs. And he's done an exceptional job at doing that. The productivity of the drug unit has certainly increased over the years, and Dan being driven by Mindy is really the reason that that's happened. Jake kind of stole all my stuff for Mindy, so it's great that she was acknowledged. And again, I appreciate very much the fact that the Elks chose Dan, Detective Daniel Horvatin as a recipient of this award because I quite honestly can't think of anyone more deserving. So Dan, congratulations.
Would you hold up, Dan? Would you stand over there? Detective Sergeant Daniel Horvatin, did I say that right?
Horvatin.
Horvatin, okay. The Enrique Camarena is awarded to a member of law enforcement who best exemplifies the qualities and principles for which Agent Camarena gave his life. Wisconsin Elks Drug Awareness Program thanks you for your service to our community and for keeping it safe and drug-free this October 23rd, 2023. Thank you.
How do you want to do that? Do I get to give my speech, or
Yeah.
do I need to take pictures first?
First, pictures
Okay.
first.
I think so.
All right.
All right. I'll
Go
set
for
that
it.
there. Okay. Well, I really appreciate the Elks for having me here. Before I get into my thank yous, I spent all weekend working on my speech, so it'll only be about 45 minutes. I'm sure you guys have it in you to hear me, as anybody who knows me knows I can talk, and I can talk a lot, so I appreciate your patience. First of all, I really want to thank the Elks for having this award and their dedication to drug awareness and prevention of youth substance abuse. I think, obviously, we all know in law enforcement where, the first steps seems to be in that middle school age where we start to see, drug abuse starting to happen. And so thank you for your dedication to educating the youth. Also, as Chief Hunter mentioned, I didn't have a drug experience when I took over at the task force. I thank them for believing in me during the promotional process, knowing my skills and abilities, believing I could do a good job, so thank you. I also need to thank my team, past and present, because this really isn't about me. It's really about my team. My success or failure happens as a team. And so my team, I'm just going to list them. Thank you guys for coming. Adam Kleist, Ryan McIntyre, Ben Miller, Ryan Wagner, Mindy Rue. Can you guys all stand up and take a round of applause? Thank you. My part-time team, who are not here, but Eric Grady, Ben Pazanski, Dave Warner, Brandon Hanley, also help and contribute. And then past task force officers who have since moved on or retired. Jake Wrights. Jake did a great job for us. Gary Curtis, Dale Punzel, Don Pettig, Kevin Dobriner, and Casey Kress. I might have missed someone, but one of the interesting things about a team of kind of officers that work undercover is some of the skills and abilities that they possess. Not just in drug work, but because of their unique abilities, they can be used for other things and have assisted many occasions in fugitive apprehension. Ryan Wagner will tell you a horror story about us going down a driveway, steep embankment, backwards in a van to take down one of our bank robbers from the Ixonia and Dodge County area. So, but it's a unique set of skills that translates, and there's so much benefit to all of the investigation of collateral crimes that occur. And they've developed a lot of skills, and they're a great group. So I also have to thank my family because, as Chief Hunter mentioned, drug work is one of those jobs that occupies your time, and it's never kind of normal time, right? Drug people are out all hours of the night, and it's rare that they're not doing something on the weekends. So thank you for being there, Kay, Caitlin. My actually three other boys are busy. Stephen, Jacob, and Sam, and they couldn't make it, but thank you guys. So I said the speech was going to be 45 minutes. So this is kind of one of those things that we do as detectives, right? So it's called planting a seed. So you probably spent most of your time thinking about, is this guy really going to talk for 45 minutes? Anyway, that's like one of the things that we do, just so I let you in on one of our little secrets. At the beginning of our interviews and when we're talking with people, we plant that seed. And then we just kind of leave it there. And then as we are talking and asking questions, getting acquainted with the people, we occasionally water that seed a little bit. And the reason that's so valuable is because through the process then, obviously, like growing a plant, that seed starts to blossom. And that's one little secret of our repertoire of interviewing and interrogating. It's by planting that seed early and moving on. So that's a long way of saying the speech isn't going to be 45 minutes. So just briefly, I appreciate Jake. I am annoying. I love it, but I grow on people. So you probably think I'm annoying right now, but by the end of the speech, you're like, oh, okay, this guy's not too bad. So, but one of the things, again, as I mentioned, drug work really allows you to really develop the relationships with people and work on some of those collateral crimes. We've got and developed many informants who will give us information about other things, stolen guns, burglaries, homicide investigations. And it's because we're building these relationships and you're learning the skills that you need. And you're also trying to help people, especially the people that are dealing with addiction. It's an eye-opener when you see kind of the cycle they've gone through and the things that happen. And you have sympathy for the users that are really addicted to these illicit substances. And then you also have disdain for the dealers who are preying on these people. And you want to get them, and you want to get the illicit substances out of your community because of the damage that it does, not just to the user, but the families and the children of these folks. So, as Jake kind of mentioned, the overdose deaths, I think in 2021, the stat was around 106,000 overdose deaths, with about 70,000 or so being associated with fentanyl or heroin. And when I think about that, and this kind of ties into Kiki Camarena's death a little bit, there's lots of stories about the Mexican government being complicit in his death, possibly even knowing that this happened, the cartels were involved. I don't know, if I had a neighbor that was responsible for about 100,000 potentially deaths, next door to me, I think that's a bad neighbor, and it's something that would need to be addressed. And 106,000 people, their husbands, wives, fathers, children, and so it's definitely a challenge that needs to be addressed, both the addiction aspect and the thought process that, hey, we've got to stop all of these substances coming in across the border because lots of people are dying. So that brings me to kind of where I wanted to finish and conclude, and that has to do with treatment facilities. Jefferson County, in our area, there are a lack of treatment facilities for people with addiction, and I would just say, if you have the ability, when you talk to your legislators, ask them about that, because we talk to people all the time who say the same things, that, I need treatment, I need to get in treatment, and because I don't want to be a drug addict, I don't want to live like this anymore, I don't want to be this way. And then you say, well, why can't you get into treatment? And of course, there's a lot of problems, and one of them is that we don't have the treatment facilities around here to deal with that. We've got money for lots of other places in this world, but it seems like we don't necessarily spend enough on here at home on the things that really make a difference. And so I know sometimes I get on my soapbox, so I'm on my soapbox. I got one more thing, and that has to do with the reform of the probation and parole system. And the reason I'm talking about this is, again, so that you guys kind of understand. When judges sentence people, the law says they have to start with probation. And that's great if you have a robust system that functions. But if you have a system that does not function properly because the agents are overworked and there's not enough of them to actually supervise the people, it's a problem because, again, as I said, I've talked to many users many times, and what they say is, I need my probation agent to actually be there and hold me more accountable. Now think about that. They're telling me, because I asked them, what do you think the solution is for your problem? And that's what they tell me. And they're criminals, right? They're on probation because they committed a crime. And they tell me, I need to be held more accountable. I need somebody there that's going to check me, that they're going to drug test me when I come in, and not just have phone visits and things like that. And so the reason I bring this up is because if you have an opportunity, you need to talk to your legislators about that issue. Because I don't think a lot of people realize that this kind of thing is going on, and the people that are convicted of crimes are not being supervised adequately. And obviously, it snowballs from there because they reoffend by using and then committing crimes, or committing crimes to get the money to then buy more drugs. And so it's a vicious cycle. So I just ask you to look at that and think about that in your daily life. And with that, I will just leave you and thank you again for the opportunity. I'm a hard charger, it's true. I always think, and it's kind of one of those life skills, it's something we all should do, is every day we should assess ourselves, what we've done well, what we can improve on. Because ultimately, if everybody would do that, I think the world would be a better place. So thank you. I know, right?
Wow, huh? First off, before we go to our last award, anybody else want 50-50 tickets? Have lost? No more 50-50 tickets? Raise your hand if you want some. If not, we will draw the winner. Get out your green tickets, I believe. Okay, get your tickets out. The winner will win $90. Ready? Green ticket. 293791. Come on, Pat. You could collect your winners from Denise. Thank you very much, Pat. Pat donated it back to the Drug Awareness Program. Now we have the last presentation of the night will be by Jim Meyer and Terry.
lot of these people don't know me. Some do and don't wish to. My name is James Meyer. I was exalted ruler here in 1987, 88, 89, and 90. It was a long time ago. Learned a lot in Elkton, and one of the things I have learned is that our sponsorships for different programs, and one of them is our drug awareness. And it gives me a great pleasure to stand up here this evening, along with Terry, to make a donation to a very needy person in law enforcement. And I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about your partner, Cash. Would you please come up? This is Luke Hensley, Watertown Police Department, with his partner, Chance. Beautiful sight. And with a lot of things that were said tonight about the drug people, here's one of your hardest working drug persons around. With that, you have to have a handler, somebody who gets along with that canine. We're very appreciative, and we'd like to make a donation to Luke, Chance, and the Watertown Police Department of $1,000 for their program to keep it going. For many, many years, because this is what it's all about, folks. Our people in uniform, some people without uniforms. I used to be there, so I know. And it gives me great pride to congratulate you, Chase, the Watertown Elks Lodge. This award comes from the PER Association of the Watertown Elks Lodge, which is past state president, right, here we go. Past exalted rulers, and the Watertown Beaver Dam Elks Lodge. Thank you very much. We appreciate your service and all your service. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I want to get a picture with you.
Can you hold the check? I'll get a spot around for sure.
Boy's face, you don't know.
Yeah, I kept thinking about that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail. I can't endorse
Actually,
that.
I
Checks in the
have
mail.
We have it, actually.
Oh, okay.
I just got to give it to him after I'm done here.
Right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I've been doing the Enrique Camarena Award banquets for the last 10 years. I started doing them up in Superior. It's something I'm passionate about, the drug awareness program. And I enjoy seeing as many people that came here today. The last few was very lightly attended, so I'm hoping next year will be even more. And what's even more exciting, and as I said, is that I have 4 of my past winners here tonight. So thank you all for coming tonight. I hope you enjoyed your meal. Oh, we do have drawings for, $25 gift cards. We have 4 of them. Right, Paul? 4? Jim, the check's in the bag. The check's in my bag there, in another bag. It's in there. All right, these are white tickets. Ready? 485 464. 485 465-464. Aha. Chance won it. See Paul. Oh yeah, I'll give it to you in a minute. That didn't sound good. 485-456. 485-456. Okay, I will get it to you in a sec. Yay! Two more. 485-463. Another award. Wow. And the last one is 485-455. Yay! I'll get you those tickets shortly. Again, thank you everybody for attending tonight. Don't be afraid to thank your officers. Their jobs are hard. We hear a lot of horror stories about officers, but they do a lot. So don't forget to thank them. Thank you, everybody.